it's the next level.
Hey, my name is Ross Marquand, and I play Red Skull. You are listening to Panels to Pixels podcast. Check it out.
You'd think with all we've lost that defeat would break us. But the only reason we're here is we refuse to die in the first place. We're as persistent as the cold, forever trapped beneath the ice. We keep our eyes on the floor, dig our nails in, and prepare to brace.
Hey, panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve. And Mark, I can't believe that neither one of us last week, I was re-listening to the podcast from last week, and I can't believe neither one of us even mentioned the fact that Jennifer Connelly was revealed to be Mr. Wolford in that first episode. When I watched the recap of the previously on, and the guy was like, the trainee's yours, Mr. Wolford, and he walked out. And I was like, crap, we didn't say anything about the fact that we have this big reveal that Melanie Cavell is actually Mr. Wolford. And obviously she must be some sort of descendant. She must be like a kid or something like that of his. So I think it's going to be interesting going forward if we're going to get any of that kind of backstory. And also, I noticed I thought about it last week, but I didn't say it. Was that when they did that little attack on the train car, Leighton's girlfriend, she was the only one that was actually wearing a mask, and so that's why she wasn't identified by the brakeman. Obviously they got the guys who kidnapped the one, but they didn't know anybody. They didn't go after anybody else, and I realized she was wearing like a mask over her, like her scarf up over her face. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she was the only one doing that. So
yeah, that is very interesting. I wonder if that's going to come in later.
Yeah,
season,
again, that's one of those things that I just kind of quickly noticed it. Okay, so they didn't get everybody who was involved in the fight, So. No,
they didn't. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole Mr. Wolford thing, I was like, we didn't even bring that up at all. I was like, that's just weird. So yeah, I hope, I don't know if we're going to get some more backstory on that, or I hope we do. We'll see.
Cool. Yeah, and we should talk about the episode. Do you want to give the synopsis?
Absolutely. So this was episode 2, which was entitled Prepare to Brace. And the synopsis that IMDb gives us is, Leighton uses his new position as trained detective to investigate the murder while gathering intel for the revolution on the side. Melanie faces a resource crisis with potentially drastic consequences for the entire train. Yeah. Really, really cool. I enjoyed. This is actually would have been like 3 times watching this episode now, since I watched it initially 2-3 weeks ago, and then watched it twice here for the podcast. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, this was a little bit more intense in comparison to the original pilot or the first episode. In my opinion, there was a lot going on that, if you kind of look down and look back up, you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, oh no, what'd I miss?
It's moving at a fast pace, and I'm excited to watch the 3rd episode and just be completely fresh with it, and we'll both be kind of see how that goes. So.
Oh, definitely. So I think we should get into our top 5s.
Absolutely.
Good evening, passengers. Be advised, track conditions will deteriorate over the next 24 hours.
I'll go first.
Sure.
I just thought it was really gruesome, that whole taking of the mother's arm. But it's interesting to me that why do they have a window on there that's the perfect size for an arm to go through on the train? Like, why was it built afterward? Was it maybe used to, I don't know. It was just a weird kind of thing to have on this train car, this kind of double window, where they can stick her arm through, and then they put water on her arm, and I wasn't sure why they did that. I don't know if maybe that made it more painful, or if what that had to do with it, but then it was just, like I said, it was just gruesome when they'd smash it with the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And it was nice they had the stuff to sew it up once it thawed, I guess, is what they would have had to do, and had to be super painful. And even the woman, describing it to Melanie, saying, yes, the taking of the arm was very easy. It came off very, it was just really just, yeah, it's just definitely an efficient way, I guess, to punish. But man, it had to be painful.
Oh, definitely. That would be my number 5 as well. Yeah, the punishment was gruesome. It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And, I have to agree. I started thinking about, why did they have to use water? Was it to be cleaned due to the infection? I highly doubt it. Or was it just so that the ice would build up faster on the arm, so that way it could freeze instantaneously, so it's not such a long wait for it to completely freeze, even though they're, below zero by 100?
Yeah, 117 degrees below zero.
Yeah. So you would think with the speeds that they're going, they're actually, and God forbid if they hit a tree on the side and their arm was there,
I didn't even think about that. If the arm was out there when the tree, how would that, when they hit something like that, it just was a really rough kind of punishment. But
and it's that Negan kind of discipline within the train cars to keep these people at bay, Negan from The Walking Dead would burn people with an iron on their face to mutilate them, and to use it as a way to pinpoint these people. And I think that's what they're doing within their little government, as it were, to put people in their place. And it's disturbing. But I think they probably did that over the course of it's been like 6 years now that they've been on that train.
Yeah.
So modifications probably came into effect probably within the first 2 years. And we've already heard some things that have happened with like mutinies and cannibalism and everything else that goes on within that train.
Okay, so I see what you're saying is that modification to be able to do that was maybe done after the engineers came back and said, here's how we're going to deal with that. Okay, that would make sense then, that, unless the hole was used to load, to put hoses through, maybe, I don't know. But you could be right. That's probably a better explanation, is that they put the little window in afterward to use it as a punishment, kind of.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes sense. So my number 4 is just, I thought it was, again, it's one of those interesting things that we're getting little glimpses of how the train kind of runs, and the fact that the speed of the train is what provides them with electricity. I thought that was really, really cool, that thought. And, the pilot guy wants to reduce by 25%, and she's like, no, how about 10%? And he's like, no, can you do at least 12%? And she's like, okay, I'll see if I can get you 12%. And then later, after that window shatters and the one engineer wants her to slow down, and she says, well, what if I slow down by 10%? And he says, no, I need at least this much. And she goes, no, I can give you 12%. And so it was just really interesting the way Melanie kind of played with the different things of how to slow the train down, and these rolling blackouts. And she's like, the back second class and third class get 15 minutes of water, and the tail gets no water until we're through this. And so, all that kind of stuff was really, really cool. And then I thought it was interesting that I think he was Russian. It sounded Russian, his accent, that he mentions the fact that Melanie has been working hospitality for Mr. Wilford the entire time of the train, and then all of a sudden she's in this position of power. And so I wonder, and I have this later in my notes as well, I wonder if people are starting to suspect something, because I think even Leighton is starting to suspect that she's got more power than what she's let on, that she's not just a servant, she's not just hospitality.
Oh yeah, she's in charge. Yeah.
So
she's part of the corporation, as they call it, like in Aliens,
yeah, exactly.
It's just not Wayland Yutani. Yeah, my number 4, that would be the intro graphics as a graph of the train. Now, I wonder if this is going to be used at some point with every episode as they change it, per episode. It's an interesting effect because they were showing things within the cars, but there are so many cars on this train, so they could probably
1001. Yeah.
So they could go on and on and on with this.
It's interesting that you bring that up because since I'm watching it on my DVR, I'm fast forwarding through the commercials, but there is a website out there and it's pretty cool. I looked at it a little bit called Wilford Industries. I think it's wilfordindustries.com. Just Wilford Industries, all one word. And they've actually set it up there where you can flip through and look at some of the cars that they've already shown us. They have a few cars where they have like artist depictions of what the car might look like. And it goes all the way from like 1 to 1001, and like there's some of them that are grayed out and locked that you can't look at, and so I want to bring that up because if people are interested in seeing a little bit more of what the train looks like, that wilfordindustries.com, you can look there.
Cool.
Yeah. So my number 3 was the whole night car scene where he goes in there and Miss Audrey is, she's singing her song. And I didn't look up. Maybe you know this because you know music. Was that an original song for the show, or do you think was a cover?
I tried looking it up, and I didn't really get any much information. The song is called "Say It Ain't So,"
okay,
and it does sound familiar to me. But it was sung by Lena Hall, who plays Miss Audrey on the show.
Okay.
And you could actually find it on YouTube as well as other formats. Not, like I said, not sure of the original song. Is it the one where it's like what was the Christmas song? Say It Ain't So.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but like different words maybe, or I know what you're saying. Like it had that touch of familiarity, but I couldn't place it. So it'd be interesting if we can find that out. But I love the fact that we get this Leighton really kind of being a cop, and he's finding out about the first murder suspect, this Nikki girl who they were trying to wake up from the drawers, and he finds out that she was locked in one of these rooms, and when they came to get her, they found the body, and she looked like she had been drugged, and so she kind of got railroaded, pun intended there, into being found guilty of this crime. And I love that Leighton, this is where I started to suspect that Leighton thinks there's more to Melanie Cavill's role than what she's letting on. Because he kind of asks, what was her role back then? And the Miss Audrey kind of says, that's the question, isn't it? Or something like that, to that effect, that where she doesn't really want to say. And so it's really, really cool. And I love that we get a couple of glimpses of just... Then, with the whole thing of he's with his ex and they have sex in there. And then when the brakeman knocks on the door, I think the character name is Bess. She knocks on the door and she sees him kind of getting dressed. And she's like, that's not what my night car experience was like.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, I thought that was really, really cool. That whole scene, everything of him finding out, and it really is becoming an investigation of ways where they're questioning suspects, they're talking to people, they're doing what they can to find evidence. They question that guy with the noodles and stuff. So
yeah, he was fed well though, if you think about it, with those noodles.
They look good. He said they were the best. They said they were the best beef noodles, but I don't know if it was beef.
I don't think it was beef, unless there was rats that they used them from. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that was kind of the questionable thing of the episode was even when they find those limbs, Leighton just kind of jumps to the fact that, you think that's beef you're eating in those noodles, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's these body parts. And there's it's like they don't even question it. Bess doesn't even kind of wink or bat an eyelash when he says that he thinks she's eating human body parts. So
yeah, and they actually bring up the idea of cannibalism later on too.
Yeah, there's some discussions about it.
That would lead me to my number 4.
Number 4 or number 3?
Number 3.
You're number 3, yeah.
Yeah, that would be Melanie's deflection with the people in first class. Yeah, she's going in and she's talking to everybody, and it just being the politician on the train and making it clear to that everyone is basically a suspect, which wheels out those people in first class too. And even first class could be, the ones that would be part of this homicide. And she's protecting Andre and giving him some sort of confidence within the conversation with all these people as well, defending him in some respect.
Yeah. I actually had a little bit about this in my notes as well, because I realized, and I heard it the first time in the first episode, but she says it again, I think, in the second episode, where she calls them the Folger family, and then she's giving them coffee. And I wonder if this is supposed to be a reference to
Folgers crystals.
Yeah, the Folgers coffee, the Folgers coffee empire kind of thing. That's how rich these people are that are in first class, is that they're these big coffee companies. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Just that I went, oh yeah, Folgers is a coffee kind of thing. I'm sure they do more than just coffee, but yeah.
Yeah, and if they were Keurig, we would know right off the hand. But if they're, everybody else, it's like they're not of our age. And what's Folgers?
Yeah, exactly. Some people might not. Well, I mean, it's still Folgers coffee is still out there on the
shelves.
There's not as many commercials for them, but they're definitely out there still.
That is true.
So my number 2 is just I want to talk a little bit more about this woman, Nikki, the one who was convicted of this first murder. They're trying to wake her up, and we, as she's waking up, she's talking about the night car, and that's why Leighton asks to go there. And I thought, again, that was interesting that Leighton, he makes a comment when they go into the night car. He makes a comment about, I always wondered what they do up here. And so I wonder how, if Melanie or Bess, or if they realize that the tale is getting intelligence about these first class cars, because how would he even know the night car existed?
I'm thinking they threw people to the tail as they started doing bad things. Like if they didn't have prestige anymore, and they would just say,
that could be,
you're going back there. Why?
Yeah.
And that's what came to my mind. I'm like, oh, how did they get all this information? Usually it's because if somebody did wrong in, let's say, first class, they got demoted to every car.
Right. And they finally ended up in the tail.
Exactly.
Could be. But I did think it was interesting. I thought it was one of those things that as they're loading these guys at the beginning into the drawers, they talk about don't lose your spark. And I'm assuming they're talking about like the soul or your life force or whatever, because this woman, they're having so much problems bringing her out of the sleep that the one woman talks about, well, maybe we should suspend, or the attendant, or one of them says something about maybe we should suspend this experiment altogether. And I'm like, wondering what that means. I wonder how many people they have in the drawers right now,
Yeah.
And, again, we get that attendant doctor guy and the Asian woman. They're talking about all the different vital signs and what's happening with her and all that stuff. So I really like that quick scene we got. And I think if I saw the previews for the next episode, I think we're going to get some more about Nikki in the next episode as well. So it's going to be interesting to find out about her.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure that's going to be something to be brought up, if not next episode, then following.
Yeah.
Because you know how certain shows happen. It's like they'll top on this particular character and we don't see them for an episode, and then they jump onto it like the following one after that because they had to do another side story. My number 2 would be the talk about the kill colds and how cannibalism was once a thing on the train itself in the rear end. I always thought about that when food comes short for people that are pretty much cut off. And we kind of got that hint or that weird thing with the rats. And with what you were saying before, when we, it's like, him questioning or looking at the meat and where did that come from. And they mentioned that, that was a thing on the actual train. So I'm wondering how, like, did they, within the 6 years, did they procreate and gather more people at this point over the course of that time? And, they put these people in cold storage?
Yeah,
and
that's interesting you bring that up, because I had it kind of in my notes about this whole killer cult thing. And, Leighton talks to Melanie about that, and he says that they all got together and they killed the leader of this killer cult, and then they ate his heart, and everybody who was involved in it ate a part of his heart. But he implies that they've kind of done away with cannibalism in the tale, that they don't do it anymore. But there are people in first class, second class, third class maybe, that are still eating people, like he was talking about the limbs being used. And it just, like I said, he gives this implication that they don't do it anymore. But yet, if you listen to the voiceover at the very beginning of the episode, when when his girlfriend is kind of is thinking about what they're going to do when they take over First Class, she's talking about eating those rich people, and so it is interesting that you bring that up, because where are they at as far as the cannibalism goes? Have they really gotten rid of it completely, or is it still something that happens?
It's probably something that still happens, but it's taboo to talk about. Very much
yeah.
like in The Walking Dead, at that point we had Terminus, and they had people eating people there.
Well, like even in the movie, that's one of the things I do remember from the Snowpiercer movie is they wouldn't talk about it until the very end, when you have Chris Evans just confessing all the stuff that they had done and stuff. So, yeah. Okay. So that brings us to my number one.
Yes.
That last scene there with Leighton and Melanie after he's been beaten up by the cops, and she's talking to him about order and about how they only survive if Mr. Wilford, Mr. Wilford, what does she say? He's awake 21 hours a day to make sure everything runs smoothly, that he maintains order, and that's the only way they survive is by maintaining order, and that it's Mr. Wilford. And she says it's not God, it's not this, it's not that, it's Mr. Wilford. And this whole idea of earlier, another part of the episode, they talk about, well, we have to bolster faith. I think that's one of my quotes that we have to bolster faith in Mr. Wilford, that they really want people to believe that there's this man who's running the train, and he's actually in charge of everything, even though there's these committees and there's these, some semblance of government. It's really Mr. Wilford is the guy in charge.
Oh, definitely. And it makes you think that Melanie is the representation of Mr. Wilford, because it just might be a title for all we know with her. I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, I think they don't want people to know, but like I said, I think people, and this is, again, I had this in my notes, is I wonder how many people really know that she's actually Mr. Wilford, because we definitely know those two other guys in the engine car, they know because they've called her, they've said that to her. It's possible the Asian woman probably knows. I would think she seems like she's close, confidant kind of thing. And so it really made me wonder how many people actually know that there isn't a Mr. Wilford. But yeah, I'm sure that's something that the show will reveal to us along the way.
Definitely. And my number one, well, that would be Andre's tracking of the train and steps with the cloth. He's put in the cell, and he rips off a piece of his shirt to pretty much draw out the cars as they are, as almost like a map.
Yeah.
And then he uses that marker again and draws some sort of symbol, like an arrow or something, where the other inmate or whatever sees and causes a distraction, and that's where he's able to attack or something.
Well, that's what I kind of figured out when my second watch, as I was watching, I realized that those sanitation workers are tailies. Those are people from the tail that are unticketed, that they're bringing them forward, and they're in these jumpsuits that say sanitation on them. So obviously what they probably do is they probably do the same thing every time, like they did with Leighton. They clean them up, put them in their sanitation jumpsuits, and then you heard the guards telling them, eyes down, look at the floor, don't look at anything. So that's why he's able to put those symbols on the floor to kind of point them to where he's left the message, because he knows they're going to be looking down at the floor. And so I thought it was really cool how he breaks out of the cell and then distracts the guards, like you said, so that these guys, and we don't know, I guess we'll find out in the next episode if the guy was actually able to reach the piece of cloth or not, because we could see him barely almost able to reach it and then not, and then we didn't actually see him grab it. So that'll be interesting to see in the next episode whether they got that message or not, and so they start to realize that maybe Leighton really is trying to help them.
Definitely.
So we got a few quotes here before we get into notes.
Yes. You could start us off.
Okay. I just like that. I laughed every time I heard it when Andre and Bess come back together at the beginning of the episode. And he's like, "How you feeling this morning, Brakeman?" Because he knows she's got all those bruises, she's got those cuts on her and stuff, and she just kind of looks at him and glares. But still, there's this grudging, maybe not grudging, but there's this respect that's being built between them. I think,
yes,
where she really realizes that she can learn from him. And she's starting, and like he's asking her questions, and like when they're looking at the body, he's like, "Well, what do you see? What is that? What do you think that indicates?" And so he's really starting to train her as a detective. And I thought that was a really cool. It's gonna be cool to see how this progresses between the two of them, because like she kind of helps out when those guys are bumping into him and telling him go back to the tail and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I think she's going to be a key aspect of the show, and it would be a good cop, bad cop kind of scenario. But that's just my thought of it, Yeah, but it's great that they actually do have a female lead that is somewhat in charge, and him being the one that is, it's strange to say it's like, yeah, well, he's the prisoner, but I don't think at a certain point within the show, I don't think he's going to be the prisoner. I think he's going to be kind of leading the show at certain points.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting.
Well, my quote would be I think that it was one of the conductors at the front where Melanie shows up.
No, I think it was that Folger family. I think they're the ones who are asking the question. Oh no, you're right. It was one of the conductors. You're right.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, he says, "How's your murder in third?" And Melanie just turns around and says, "There's 2 murders, an uprising in the tail, and drama on the first, where they think there is a mob at their door." The issues with the train as a society is basically a society breaking down in groups. It's just an interesting take on that whole societal look, but everything just within this compartmentalized train.
Yeah.
It's just wild, and the fact that she just breaks it down and knows words alone.
Yeah, it shows also again that she's overseeing everything that's going on.
Oh, definitely.
She's not just. It's just like when they go into that cattle car that's been broken, and they come out, and the engineer is like, "What are you doing here? You're just hospitality." And he's like, "Well, Mr. Wilford wanted her to see the damage himself." So yeah. So my next one is just the fact that I love when Melanie is kind of feeling the walls, and she can tell from the vibration. This is how in tune she is with the train, that she can tell by the vibration of the wall that something's coming, that the avalanche is coming. She just yells out, "Brace," in that just loud voice, and whoever is controlling that emergency kind of beacon or whatever hears her and lets people know, brace. So that was really, really cool, because I didn't notice it in the first couple of watches, but I definitely, in this last watch, I saw her with her hand against the wall, and she's just feeling it, and you can see her arm trembling, you can see the wall kind of moving, and then she shouts out, "Brace," and I thought that was really cool.
Which kind of makes me believe even more what you were saying, that she might have been a descendant of the guy who created the train.
For sure.
And knows, and probably as a kid, when he was creating it, brought her on, and she knows these things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. And I just like the aspect of it completely, that there's a lot of history there that we still have to dive into within the show itself. My next quote would be Andre saying, "I often wondered what you did here in the club car."
Yeah.
And that's to the liaison. And then she then states, "We create epiphanies, sir."
Yeah. Yeah, it was great to see this kind of, they're not really counselors. They're not whores. They're really there to try to help people, maintain their emotional and mental stability, and however that, through meditation or whatever that. So my next one, and I've got a few more here I just loved. I loved when they had that interplay between Leighton and Bess there at the beginning, and Rash kind of puts his hand on each of their shoulders, and he's like, "You two are going to have a great day." And then he just kind of walks away from them. And then, when she's telling him to just pin the murder on this person, on the butchers, so he can get his spot in the third class car. And he says, "First off, I don't want third class. I want to go back to the tail. And second off, guess I'm still a cop after all. I really, again, I just love that he's really recognizing that, I'm still a cop. You're giving, and just like you said, I don't think he is going to go back to the tail. I think he's going to get the bug of being the train detective, and if this murder investigation lasts the whole first season, we might not know until the end, but yeah.
It's going to be an ongoing thing, and they have multiple seasons, I think, out of this.
Yeah, and I love when Leighton's girlfriend is talking to Miles. He's been chosen, to go forward, and she asks him, what he remembers about his mom, and he goes, I remember that she smelled good, but he says, I only remember the train. You're my tail mom. I just thought that was really touching when he says, you're my tail mom. So really, really like that. We got some notes here. I think we've talked about some of this. Yeah. I thought it was really interesting. You were talking about the whole interplay there in the first class cabin when Melanie is trying to put out the fires and talking to the different people there, that she says about the Gravol drug. And I'm assuming this must be some sort of pill or something that they take to help them maintain kind of their train legs. Because, it's hard to walk on a train. It's hard because it's constantly moving, it's shimmying, and so there must be some sort of drug that they give people to kind of help them,
Yeah, Dramamine.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you can't do that in New York City, though, on the subway cars.
Yeah.
I know that from experience, because I've seen people get sick that were on Dramamine.
Yeah. For me, it usually just makes me sleepy.
Yeah, it does.
When I take it, so... and I love that he had that little memory of him and his fiance there meeting in the park and then showing them in bed together and him proposing to her. I thought that was really, really cool. And I wonder if we're going to get whether I think he did call her his ex-wife. So they must have gotten married, actually officially married sometime before the freeze and before they got onto the train there. Yeah. You had a couple?
I already stated mine, the Say Ain't So.
Right.
Say It Ain't So. And then, you already mentioned about him. It was nice to see Andre get some nookie on the show, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least that car's being used for something,
Yeah. Let's see. I got a couple more here that we haven't talked about already. I thought it was really interesting when the doctor revealed that she was a Navy doctor who had signed on. She was only going to serve on Wilford's train for a year, and then the freeze happened. So I wonder if this train actually was already rolling before the world froze, or if it was maybe had done one revolution or had done, had moved around a little bit before the freeze happened. So it's her whole backstory. I think she said Afghanistan actually was where she was a doctor for the Navy. And then I just like the fact the notary is mentioned again, this time by the butchers. They tell Bess and Leighton to go get the notary, and then we'll let you in. And I thought it was I'm laughing because I wonder if we're ever going to see who this person is, because I live in Oklahoma. I'm a notary. In fact, just this morning I had to go. One of my coworkers was selling a car, and I went and met him this morning so I could notarize the title for them. And so it's just cool every time I hear them say, "Go get the notary," or they talk about the notary.
Cool. And that was it? That's all you had?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about everything else. We talked about using the tailies as sanitation. We talked about Melanie and bolstering Faith and how many people know that she's kind of the Mr. Wilford guy. No feedback this week?
No.
Laura must not. Maybe she's not a TNT fan, I guess.
Oh, I haven't heard from Laura in a while, so yeah. I'm pretty sure she's busy doing her own thing.
Yeah.
So, but if there are listeners out there, please do send in your responses or comments in our Facebook page, at the comments below every time we post what we're doing. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I'm really, really enjoying. I'm really looking forward to watching this third episode. I'll probably do it tonight, just so I can get my first watch in of it, and then see where we go. But I really do enjoy this show. It's really got me excited, and I like the way it's going, and I hope it keeps going well.
Yeah, same here. I needed to watch this episode twice. I already said it because there's so much going on within this racing locomotive train that's going around in this cold. and there's so much drama and so much to take in, but it's still a great show to watch because you know that there's so much more story within that train itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So with Comic Talk, the only thing I have a few things actually.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Diamond Direct has severed their ties with DC Comics, and all the comic shops right now are trying to get their DC Comics from DC directly now. Which
why? Was there any reason why?
I didn't see anything where the specifics based upon it. It must have had to do with everything with the whole coronavirus and everything that was going on. So, well, at least on good news, we have PS5s coming out, and they launched it, and they showed the first game that they're going to launch with it, which would be a Spider-Man game, which is amazing because the last Spider-Man game that came out for PS4 was really cool. But this one's centralized around Miles Morales.
Oh, cool.
So, and there's talks that, with this, that it might be hinting that a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie might be coming out of it, and in a sense of like prepping us for it, which would be really cool and really great. Because we already had Into the Spider-Verse, which was an animation style movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, now we could actually have that Miles Morales character in the show or in the MCU or the Sony MCU or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, who knows?
A little bit of extra news. Batwoman lost Ruby Rose, as we all know, which is sad because I really enjoyed her as the character of Batwoman and Kate Kane. But the next Batwoman, according to sources, will be a new one. It's not going to be anybody like claiming or just they're going to reprise the character with somebody else taking that mantle. They're just basically they're not going to replace Ruby Rose as Kate Kane. They're just going to have her segue off and then a new Batwoman.
I see what you're saying. It's going to be a different. It's going to be a different person altogether, a different character.
Big time.
Okay, they're not going to just swap out actresses and keep the same character.
I think that would be in bad taste completely. And if they did that, but my feeling is that if they just replace the actual Batwoman with a new one and create a story based upon how they take up the mantle, and then gives kind of a brief synopsis as to why Kate Kane dropped out of being Batwoman, that would be good too.
Yeah, we'll see. Very cool.
Yeah. So you have a couple of podcast recommendations?
I do. I've been listening to you. I think you recommended this to me the first time. Was Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. I don't listen to all of them. I just pick the actors that I kind of like, and then listen to the interviews he does with them. It's really, really great. I just listened to the Justin Long episode this week, and then you were going to talk about Strange Indeed, but Derek from TV Podcast Industries, which is we talk about it almost every week. I send them voicemails. But Derek from TV Podcast Industries is going to be with Rima this week doing the Black Mirror Season 2, Episode 1, Be Right Back. And I believe they are recording that, well, whenever... It won't be a spoiler. I think they're recording that tomorrow is what I was told, and so I sent them in a voicemail for it. So,
oh, cool.
I don't know how... I know she's only releasing them like every couple of weeks, but I guess schedule-wise, they had to go ahead and get it done. And then House Podcastica, I just messaged with them this afternoon. They're going to review season 1 of Cobra Kai. And in prepping for that, they're going to record about the original Karate Kid movie. So that's next on House Podcastica is the Karate Kid and then Cobra Kai. Those are both. That's on Podcastica Network.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that too. I loved Cobra Kai, and I recommend that to any of you guys who are listeners that loved Karate Kid and loved Daniel LaRusso. And
yeah, I ordered the discs. I should get them tomorrow. So
you got the discs?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I went ahead and just ordered them because I don't want to pay YouTube for one show, and I don't want to just take it and then drop it. That's not my style.
They're actually looking to shop that show now.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But like I said, they're only doing season 1 right now, and so I just went ahead and ordered the discs for it. And if whenever season 2 comes out, I'll
definitely.
try
they're really, really good. I highly recommend them. It kind of played off back in the day where people used to have that idea of, was it Billy? is the bad guy. I know it's Billy Zabka, but I forget who he plays. And,
the character name is Lawrence. No, that's Mr. Lawrence, right? Because Daniel LaRusso is why is the actor's name escaping me?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's Billy Zabka, and then you have Ralph Macchio.
Right, Ralph Macchio played Daniel LaRusso, who's the Karate Kid, and the other guy was Mr. Lawrence. I don't remember what his first name was.
Oh, yeah.
It might have been Billy. I just remember because there's that whole scene when Martin Cove tells him to sweep the leg, and he says, "Do you have a problem with that, Mr. Lawrence?"
Yeah. That's all we remember, right?
I think it was Billy. I think his first name is Billy, though. I think it's Billy Lawrence. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was that whole thought of Billy being.
Yeah, I saw this whole YouTube
like the
video.
good guy.
Yeah, there's a whole YouTube video about that Daniel LaRusso was really the bully in the situation. And that except for the scene at the beginning, the beach scene where he kind of throws the radio down. Other than that, really, it's Daniel LaRusso that instigates everything else with it. I've seen that. I've seen that YouTube video. And then, of course, I guess they talk about the fact that kick at the end was supposedly illegal because he did contact to the face. And that wasn't supposed to be so. Because they say at the beginning, no face contact or something like that. But they give it to him with his kick. So
yeah, I highly recommend the show. I highly recommend everybody to listen to Jason on House Podcast. He loves the Karate Kid. I grew up with it just the same as he did.
Yeah, me too.
I gave him a plaque, not a plaque, kind of like almost like a license plate plaque of the Cobra Kai symbol.
Nice.
A couple of years ago. I think we were in Atlanta. And somebody had recently sent him a shirt of Cobra Kai, which is pretty cool.
That. Yeah,
and he's a huge Karate Kid fan. So listen to it. You'll probably, if you want something cool to listen to, something that'll bring you back to when you were a kid and you used to watch Karate Kid, or if you're just getting involved with that now, being a young person who grew up in the 2000s. It's a cool thing to watch. So watch the movies if you got the Karate Kid available to you.
I think it holds up. I think the first one holds up. But,
it does.
It's definitely an 80s movie, but it's still, I think it holds up as far as the acting and the story and all that.
Yeah, so definitely check out those movies. Check out Cobra Kai, the TV show. They only have 2 seasons so far. Mm-hmm. The actual third season is being shopped around, so we're not sure if it's going to stay on YouTube. So check that out with Jason on House Podcast. My only one at this point would be Strange Indeed with Rima and guests, because she is currently working with different guests per week for the podcast for Black Mirror episodes that are favorites of people that she's picking from. And she just had Jason from the Walking Dead cast there, too, as well as House Podcast.
Yep, like I said, the next one's going to have Derek from TV Podcast Industries. So
yeah.
Very cool. Well, we'd love to hear from our listeners. We don't get much feedback, but we would love to hear from you. We are on whatever podcast player of choice you choose to use. If you can give us a rating there, we would love to have that. You can check out our website at panelstopixelspodcast.com. But the best way you can interact with us is on Facebook, where we are facebook.com/panelstopixels. You can also email us if you choose to do so, panelstopixels1@gmail.com. That's panelstopixels1. The TO is spelled out right there in the middle, and the number 1@gmail.com. Or you can call us and leave a voicemail, 845-350-2095. You can also check us out on YouTube. Often these episodes we'll release on YouTube first. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, and check it out.
Definitely. And where else can you hear us? I am a co-host on the Walking Dead Talk Through, or Brian Malash on Talk Through Media.
And we comes back.
Exactly. Well, hopefully I'm hoping another 3 weeks, but we review The Walking Dead each week when the show is actually on. So this show, Panels to Pixels, will stay on the Next Level Podcast Network, but there will always be a link for Talk Through Media on our Facebook page for listeners to actually engage and get on there and listen to those podcasts. Or you could listen to us at talkthroughmedia.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. So, right now we're currently working on, and I've been saying this for weeks, but I really need to get on it. It's Let's Talk Through. So hopefully we'll get that underway. We'll have something for you listeners. And as well, by that time, I'm pretty sure Walking Dead will be back on in some way, shape, or form. Yep.
We'll see.
Yep.
And of course, you can hear me right here, and I submit feedback to various podcasts and voicemails when I can and when they're on. But you can always hear me right here on the Next Level Podcast Network.
Definitely. So that was our show for this evening. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels, and we will see you on the next panel. Good night.